Come on. Come on. We are like right there. We are right. It's like right there, right? I don't know what I'm going to do. Today is January 20th. I want to thank you all for being here. I am Samin. I am the host of the Sam Myers show. Just in case you forgot, just in case you're so excited about some things that have happened in the last, I don't know. He left. His plane took off exactly at 9 o'clock. Air Force One, to be as exact as I can be, because I don't know all the names of the things and the flutes and the whistles and the bells, and that's my commitment. I'm not committed to taking in too much information that doesn't provide nourishment to my body. So I miss names of certain things, but I know that was Air Force One he got on, and I know that he's going off somewhere. And at the end of the day, I can say, yo, that's pretty great. It's pretty okay that Trump is leaving Washington and leaving the presidency. It's not happening yet. Still got a little bit of time, and a lot can happen. Trust me. I've been through things in my life, as we all have been, and a lot can happen in 2 hours and 5 minutes. Seriously, right? But we're not going to go there. But I did want to say something. There's been some things that have been happening in the last few days that I wanted to speak on. Literally 2 days. Today's Wednesday, January 20th. There was something that happened on the 18th, Martin Luther King's birthday, right? The celebration. His actual birthday is on the 15th. And I believe that they have it that they want it to be on Mondays every year. I'm not certain, but I think that's just how it goes. It's like Saturday, Sunday, and then you get Monday. So you kind of get like a 3-day weekend. That's as close as, that's a nice, I don't want to go into anything else. That's nice to have 3 days. And that is finally being celebrated. But it was tainted this year. It was tainted. Old boy wrote a document, right? And there's something important about the writing of documents. But he wrote this document, and it was the 1776. You know, that's important dates. I'm terrible with dates. I know it's important. I know why. Everybody knows why. But I'm terrible. History it almost left me. I almost got held. I almost dropped out of school for history. Like, real talk. I did summer school because I failed the RCT. And I failed it more than once. I think I failed it twice with world history. And I went to summer school. And when you go to summer school and you failed it that many times, they give you get a grade, and they allow that grade to be what allows you to pass. And I passed with a 65. So 65 is as low as you can go without failing. And if I did the whole summer, which I did, and got a 65, that just lets me know I failed, right? I mean, real talk. And with all the charm and laughter and all the things, I got a 65. And so basically I got pushed out. You know, everything comes back around. Everything that I've ever thought that I escaped from always comes back. So, excuse me. That's just my one thing. History is the dates and the numbers and all of that. But he wrote a document. I'm going back to what I was saying. Trump wrote a document, or he had a document produced and put it out. It's not a coincidence. He put it out on Martin Luther King's birthday this year, right? The day of the celebration. Very underrated. It just went under the scope. It went under people's scope because it should be more uproar. And it went after the 1619 that was written. I'm going to murder her name. I think her name is Nicole Hannah Jones. I think I got it right. Nicole Hannah Jones. This is when cue cards would work, right? Right now I should have cue cards. And I know I should have cue cards, but I'm like, no. Like, I don't use calendars. Nope. I'm going to keep it up here. Never works. It never works. But it worked just now. She wrote this document, and she's a writer, and she's very much about reparations, about the reparations. I've been on the fence with reparations, but at the end of the day, it's something that should happen. I personally don't believe it'll ever happen because it will take too much for this America to own not just to own it, but really to care and say, I want you to be equal. It's just not anything that I have it that America has on its agenda in the world of everything else, right? Whatever everything else is, whatever it is, doing reparations is not part of anything that's important to this America. So when I hear reparations talk, it's always like, but I believe that there should be something that's done, and I don't know what. And when you start to really, there's an actual number you could quantify, and like look at land that was promised and actually just not given because I changed my mind and you're not worth it, and I'm going to invite new people to come in and get that land, hundreds of acres, which is a whole nother conversation. It's a different, it's true though, but it's a different conversation. But you can look at what an acre cost back then and what it will be worth today, and who do you give it to? And it gets into the space of being confusing when it comes to me, right? Me, it becomes, well, how do you figure it out? They have ways of figuring out everything else. It could be figured out if that was an intention, but it's not. So anyway, Nicole Hannah Jones wrote a document, and beautiful. It was talking about all the work from 1619 that Native Americans, which would be Black people, right? Native, because we've been here as long as everybody else, right? Longer facts than 90% of the people. We've been here, and people were invited, and we got displaced, and it's all kinds of reasons, and that's not what I wanted to talk about today. That's something to talk about at another time, but it's a need to be talked about. Maybe, definitely. She breaks it down. She breaks down this document from the beginning, 1619, all the Jim Crow, the can't be, not being able to read, it being against the law, it being a crime, 36 lashes if you taught a slave to read, how if you traveled and you couldn't come back, if you went to the North to get educated, you couldn't come back now to help your family who had just been free. She broke it all down. She broke down sharecropping when after being freed and not being able to work, actually going back to where they had come from and been slaves and working at the for the same master, which is something else, right? To go back and now not getting paid because you don't have any rights anyway, and the constitutions and amendments being written in these documents as property as opposed to people, and people deserve peace and love and justice for all, but property doesn't. I mean, that was intentional. That's very intentional, right? That's very intentional writing. Smart, genius writing, but really to continuously exclude Black people, Native Americans, right? Nowhere else has ever done that. But anyway, she wrote this document leading all the way up to soldiers coming back and like the ridiculousness of soldiers fighting in the Vietnam War when we couldn't even at that time go into, before civil rights, couldn't even go into a restaurant as a Black person. You couldn't go in there. You had to go in the back and all these things. You couldn't sit down, and you got snake and you got people beating on you and the hounds and the hoses and all the crazy. But now you need to go fight for this country that you're fighting with here already, right? And if you don't, you get punished, right? It's a punishment that goes along with, and we saw people like Muhammad Ali stand up like, I'm not going to fight anybody. It's not my war. I'm not doing it. So she writes all about this, and when they came back and how they didn't allow like the grants for housing, they were not allowed to go and move into good housing because they were Black, and so they had to go to the ghettos. And it's this whole document, and it works all the way up to present day with this lack of finances that we were a part of developing and never to this day getting any credit for it. And not like a handout, but or a hand up, just like nothing. Don't need a handout, hand up, hand out, but more like a pushback, like a stiff arm, and like get back down, right? And that, again, that's another conversation. But he wrote this document directly to go at her document. Now, the reason I say that writing these documents, writing is important. Writing is important because a lot of people believe what they read, right? They believe what they read, but it gets noted. It gets noted. So all of this stuff that was written about 3/5 of man, and this is written and it becomes what so. Jim Crow started out as a joke with an actor who was pretending to be this lazy, drunken black guy, and from his mouth and writing it down and developing this character, that becomes a law. It becomes a real thing that harms lots of native black people, right? And this is the only country that intentionally harms their own people. So, and this is all in the world of him leaving, and then I'm exuberance. Can you tell? But it's like quiet because it's still an hour and 55 minutes. So anything could happen. And it really could. So he writes this document that he puts out to counter, right? Counter some of the anti-fascist statements. And this is the thing about Antifa, not Antifa, which means anti-fascist. This is what Antifa looks like to me from over here on my side. I look across the street and I see angry white people. I see supremacists, and I look across the street and I see angry white people. I see people protest, angry white people. It's just a bunch of angry white people is what I see. And it's very much over there, but it becomes the world's issue, right? Like America right now is in turmoil, right? America's upside down. Our president has done the unthinkable, and the state of America right now is it's unbelievable. And I go, for who? For who? For whom do you speak of this unrecognizable America? For whom are the eyes being possessed by? You know, like who is looking at the? And it's not about asking or thinking about my perspective of America, because this right now, what's been happening, not just the last 4 years, the last 4 has been like delicious. It really has. It's been delicious because it took the cloth off. You don't have to wear the hood, right? The hood. Back in the day, KKK, they wore the hoods. So you didn't know who was in it. You kind of knew. They knew each other. It's the farmer. It was Adele. It was this. It was the commissioner. It was all the, the head of the police department. It was the mayor. It was the president. It was all the things. And we kind of knew, but they knew who each other was, who they were with one another. Right now, you don't have to wear hoods. You don't have to do anything. It's just here, and it's out, and it's in the open. And in my time, there hasn't been a president who has been openly just like so carefree about, and I really do use the word racist. I don't use it. I don't like to use it in that way. I'm very protective of it because it becomes a thing. I could just point out he's racist, she's racist. Yeah, that's not necessarily true. And I don't know. I don't know what he is. But I could tell you he's not pro me, right? And just because you're not pro me doesn't mean you're racist, right? I'm going to be straight about that. Just because you're not pro Samin and native black people that have been on America's soil our whole existence from the moment we've been brought over, doesn't mean you're racist. just means you don't care about me. And I can deal with you not caring about me. I can deal with it. It's like you don't have to care. I so many people I don't care about. I mean, and that's real. Like people I just don't care. It's not my issue. Not my issue. My issues may not be anybody else's issues. But when they start talking about America and how crazy America is right now, is that crazy for me to say that's white people stuff? Because my America, that I'm here, I'm kissing the ground, grateful to be here. I didn't kiss the ground. Looks like that all the time. It looks like a man being choked to death, a black man, 8 minutes on camera with somebody with his knee. That looks like what I know. It looks like Rodney King. You know, it looks like, I mean, I could go down the last year, right, since COVID. And what was great about COVID, nothing, right? I could say nothing. I hear myself as I speak, as opposed to thinking what I'm going to say and then saying it. The opposite. But I hear that come out of my mouth, and that doesn't sound like what I meant to say. But there's 400,000 plus people who have died. So there's nothing great about that, right? 400,000 Americans have died. A large portion of those people who died are Native American people, Native Africans, right? From right here. So I want to be clear about that. But, and the reason I always say but, and then I correct it with and, I tend to say but I say and because everything after but is usually BS. And I learned that from a sponsor. He was like, this is everything you get ready to say when you say but, you're trying to justify something and prove something. So, and. So we had this many people who died. And what is great about this time right now is that the world was home and we got to see what it's like to see my America a little bit from my view. So when you see like these black men being killed and women and this craziness from officers just getting off with it, that's my America every day since I was 10. Somebody older can say before that, since Eleanor Bumper, that has been my America. That's been my experience. That's been what I know to be America. Police officers do what they want. Bernie Getz was in that same time. White guy on a train, killed some black men, shot some, I think it was 4 of them. I know it was 4, but it was, I think one was Hispanic. He got shot. I don't think he died. You know, like I know that there's an information, and that's what my America looks like. Yusef Hawkins, my America looks like that, right? All the time, not just during Trump. So it's easy to scapegoat Trump for this. This is what America looks like. So when the conversation comes about that says, this is not my America, it's my America. Maybe it's not your America. It's definitely my America. I see America like this. This is what it looks like. This is what it sounds like. This is what it feels like. Yeah, I got some good stuff. It's some great music. It's a lot of great in here. And don't try to make it right now because it's on blast, because we have somebody that clearly doesn't care about so many different groups of people, including his own, right? Like he spoke the voice of the people. This is what the people wanted to hear. So when, oh my God, not in all the times and not even during the Civil War were there a Confederate flag and in Capitol Hill. Okay. Okay. So what? Never once, right? Well, maybe once, maybe. But this is still rioters, right? This is his right. Terrorist act. That's what that was. It's an act of terrorism. And I'm not going to do the back and forth with it. If they were black, because they wouldn't have been black, because black people don't do that. It's not what we do. Why? Because we're trained not to do that. Why? Because we see so many examples of what innocent people get done to them that and maybe I should speak for myself. I don't want to do that, right? Unless it's personal. I'm not feeling like I want to attack a police station or barge into Capitol Hill with a stick, and because I have an example, I have an idea of what will happen to me. And I think collectively, that was what the anger and the sadness and a lot of the jokes and the statements have been about. But it's that sorrow, like, if it was me, I already know what would have happened. It wasn't me. It was them. And I can put it over there to say, see how y'all do each other? And you see how your president does. Breaking the rules. There are no rules. He makes his own rules. That's your president. Apparently some black people have apparently voted for him. I don't know. I don't know who. And I don't know why. I don't know why anybody. I do know why some people vote for him. I do know why. I can understand that, and I respect it, right? I have to respect it. Corporations, CEOs of large companies, lots of money to be saved. Lots of upside down, getting rid of regulations that we had to have safe water, safe clean air. That's nothing. That doesn't matter. I guess when you can afford a ticket to go to Saturn when the time comes, the earth right now as we presently live doesn't even matter. So I just wanted to put out and say, yes, he is gone. That document he put out was crap. It was talking about, it was like reeing up on America, not to allow the narrative to change, but the narrative about slavery that came up as one. He actually went after her document. If you haven't read, it was in the New York Times, 1619 by Nicole Hannah Jones. Google it. If you want it, I have it. I sent it to people all the time. I have the digital. I hope it still works. I have a digital format of it, and I will send it to you. Like it is fantastic. It is a fantastic factual. It's not angry. It's just facts, and it's just like to give you a perspective, unlike what he wrote. So that's something that was the thing that stood out in all of this. I didn't want to come on and say, you know, I'm happy for Joe Biden. In my brain, it always comes out. I have to stop because it says Bin Laden. There's no reason for that connection, but my brain says Bin Laden and it's Joe Biden. I know who he is, but I have to stop and go, do not say Bin Laden, please. Do not say that. He's coming in. Kamala Harris, I'm sure it'll be fantastic. This will be an interesting 4 years. I don't know if you can hear that background noise. They're doing some repairs. I'm sure you can. I'm going to end up stopping this now. So anyway, I'm going to get up out of here real quick. I'm sure they'll be great, but never do I forget that Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Joe Biden was part of the super criminal, super predator. And he has some other things that ended up impacting people who look like me in negative ways. So I don't forget that, right? I don't forget. And he's apologized for it and said he was a different place. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. But I'll take him over this guy. And he was going, and I think a whole bunch of other people decided the same thing. And so it should be interesting. Next little 100 days, we'll count 100 days starting today, right? So we'll see how it goes. But listen, thank y'all for hanging out with me just a little bit. I just wanted to tap in, touch base, come back. I'm scratching like some fiend. I'm scratching my neck. Like, that's not sexy, at all. But I just wanted to touch base, see what's good, see what the temperature is, the climate, right? You want to feel it out. And I'm hoping everybody is well. Love your daughters. Take fantastic care. There's not a lot going on this end. I'm just here. Cyan went back to school yesterday. A month of Cyan being home. I love my kid. I love my daughter. It's a little bit easier. Makes it a little bit easier to love her when she's over there. But I'm also thinking about education too. That's something that came up, and I'll talk about that too, with some of the ideas and some setups with education. And her life and my life. And yeah, I'm working on something right now that I'm not fully clear on, but I'll get there. I'll get there. Anyway, thank y'all for hanging out with me just a little bit. I hope that what I provide is a little bit more than just noise, outside of the noise that hope you can't hear. Can you hear that? I don't know, but anyway, I'm getting off because I can hear it, and when I can hear it, I'm guessing you can hear it. So take fantastic care of yourself. Love your daughters. Love your families. How's your New Year's resolutions going? It's still time to get back on track and stop eating the donuts. Anyway, take fantastic care of yourself. And I'll be back really, really, really soon. I'll be back. This feels nice. It's like a little bit of a massage. Like a warm bath. Peace.